With Thanksgiving right around the corner, I'm going to show you how to roast the perfect turkey. And as a bonus, I'm going to show you how to make a gluten-free gravy. Hey, so stay tuned.
I'm Mike the Stew Burner. Welcome to another one of our episodes. And last week we were trying to figure out what we're going to shoot. And it's getting close to Thanksgiving. And I was thinking, you know what? There are a lot of people that are reluctant to roast a turkey, never roasted a turkey before, or maybe have roasted turkeys before and never had very much success roasting a turkey. And I figured, you know, it's time to break out a video on roasting a turkey. Hopefully you'll learn something today. I have some pretty good success roasting turkeys. And one of the things that I'm also going to show you today is a different gravy. I stumbled across this gravy a few years back watching a show kind of just like this. Somebody was using a natural rack for their turkey, and you're probably wondering, what's a natural rack? Natural rack is a rack that we're going to create using vegetables, fresh vegetables. And at the end of the cooking process, and this is where I kind of changed up a little bit, I was just watching this episode and they were talking about, you know, making this natural rack, which was a great idea, and adding some flavor to the juices of the turkey as it roasted. But at the end, they threw the vegetables out. I'm like, why would you throw the vegetables out? Use them. So I took it one step further, and I took the vegetables and I pureed them with the juices, and I ended up with this fantastic gravy. So I'm going to show you how to make that today. What I'm going to do is, I got a roasting pan here. Now I've roasted turkeys in a number of different ways. I roasted them in roasting pans that have higher sides and a cover, and it works good. There's nothing wrong with it. The roasting pan that I have with the high size and the cover is a little bit too small for our turkey. I have a 22-pound turkey. I kind of like the bigger pans, the wider pans, and then I make a tent for it. So what I'm going to do first, though, is show you how to make the natural rack. What I have prepared here is some vegetables, and I have 4 carrots. I have, well, I actually want only 4 pieces, sorry, but I have 5. No big deal. I can use 5. And I've got 2 onions. So all we're going to do is take these vegetables and we're going to put them in the bottom of our pan. And that's going to create our rack. And you can put them in any way you want. The turkey is going to sit on this. So I'm just going to kind of alternate them. No big deal. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take my onions, I'm going to put them on one end of the pan because they're a little bit higher, and I'll get into that in a little bit. So there's my rack. In the bottom of the pan, fresh vegetables. I'm going to set this to the side now, and in a moment I'm going to get the turkey out and we're going to season up the turkey. So let me start out with our seasonings, and I'm pretty much going to keep very basic on this. I have some salt and pepper here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a few other herbs. I've got some poultry seasoning. Actually, this is sage. I'm going to put a tablespoon of sage in here. Good thing, because I only have a tablespoon left in there. And I'm going to put a tablespoon of poultry seasoning. And to that, I'm going to add another tablespoon of herbs de Provence. Some people like to use Italian seasoning. Some people don't use anything at all. They just go with salt, pepper, maybe some garlic powder. So I'm going to mix that up a little bit. I'm also squeezing those herbs to let some of the oils out. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get some olive oil. I'm going to coat the bird with some olive oil. You could use butter as well. A lot of people use butter. I use olive oil. here. This is a 22-pound bird. We're going to set the oven at 325, and it'll probably take about 4.5 hours. A little oil on my hand. Get the leg, get the wing. I'm not going to worry too much about the bottom. And there we go. Wash my hands, and we'll be right back. So I have my seasonings ready. I'm just going to sprinkle all my seasonings on the bird. And you know, Thanksgiving in the Navy for food service is our big game. We call all hands on deck for Thanksgiving Day. And you know, this is it. This is our Super Bowl. This is the national championship game for us. We bring out all the big guns for Thanksgiving. It's the most important meal we do during the year. And it's funny. There are some meals that we struggle with that are much easier. And but it seems like Thanksgiving, everybody brings their A game. And you just, you know, it's such a great day being a cook in the Navy. Everybody gets along. Everybody's got their little projects they're working on. And in the end, the show begins. That's what we say. Let the show begin when we open up the food line. And it's just a great day. And the crew deserve a nice home-cooked meal. And you know, they're away from their loved ones. The day of Thanksgiving, a day to give thanks. Thankful that our mission is going well. So I have the bird all seasoned up. Now I was talking about the onions being at a specific end. What I want to do is I want the bird to sit up a little bit higher on the, I guess the neck end, yeah, this end here. And the reason why I want to do that is so that the juices will run out more from the cavity. Okay, so one other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do like a natural truss. And I'm just going to put a little cut right here in the skin. And I'm going to tuck my wing tip up into that slit there. And that'll tuck him right in. There we go. And this one actually came out. I'll get him tucked back in. So there we go. We've got a naturally racked and naturally trussed turkey. The next thing to do is get the tent on here, and now we'll pop her in the oven. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pour a little bit of water in the bottom of the pan. There's maybe a half a cup there. This turkey is going to create a lot of its own juices. But I always like to give just a little, start out with just a little bit of water. Next thing I'm going to do is I tent my turkeys. Probably going to tent this pretty much 3/4 of the way through the cooking process. So what I've done is I've created a tent out of 2 pieces of foil. I took 2 pieces of extra wide foil, I fused them together with a seam, and now I'm going to do is go ahead and cover my turkey. I use the shiny side down. And I'm going to cover it nice and tight because I want that seam to stay in there and help keep that turkey nice and moist. Pull this up a little bit. I'm trying to keep enough area around the turkey so this tent is not touching it. There we go. Yeah. So a lot of people have reached out and asked me to talk a little bit about the Navy and my job in the Navy, and that, you know, try to explain what CS and MS means. When I joined the Navy, we were called Mess Management Specialist, and I thought, wow, that's kind of weird. What do we make messes? Now they're actually called CSs, Culinary Specialists. Actually, and prior to being called MSs, we were actually called CSs before that. So it kind of CS to MS to C, back to CS, and CS, it means Culinary Specialist. So we're all tented up here. The oven is set for 325. I'm going to go ahead and set in the oven, and then probably about an hour into the cooking process, I'm going to go ahead and then insert my meter. There's no sense of putting it in now. I can be doing other things. So we're going to pop this in. We'll put the meter in it, the meter thermometer in it about an hour later, and we'll see where we're at. Hey, you may have noticed that there was one thing I forgot to do when I was loading up the turkey pan. So I forgot to put my giblets in. So we're about an hour into cooking. Not a big deal. I'm going to go ahead and put the meter thermometer in the turkey. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and add my giblets, and we should be fine. Alrighty, so we actually took the opportunity while the turkey was in the oven to run down to our favorite little market, the Amish market here in Shrewsbury, Pennsylvania. And gosh, our timing was just about perfect. We got home and we had about 40 minutes left on the cooking time, which at that point what I did was remove the tent off the turkey, and I gave it a couple of bastes. And make sure that you have one of these nice basting tools that you can go in and suck your juice at. As you can see, I have my pan here. We pulled our turkey right when it was at 165. We're letting it rest. I've got it under wraps. I'll do the big reveal here in a few minutes. But very important, especially at Thanksgiving time, make sure you cook your turkey to the proper temperature. You've got to get it to 165. It's poultry. If you undercook it, you run the potential of getting somebody sick. And you don't want to do that at Thanksgiving. So, we pulled our turkey. We have our roasting pan of vegetables over here. What I'm going to do now is start working on the gravy while our turkey rests. So it's really important to make sure that you let your turkey rest after you pull it out of the oven. Rest and covered, at least 30 minutes. You want the juices to work, stay inside the turkey, work its way back in. And if you go and cut it prematurely, all that nice juice is just going to leak right out, and your turkey's going to be bone dry. Trust me, I've experienced this, and it's not just with turkey. It's basically any cut of meat. If you roast it or grill it, you want to let it rest before you actually cut into it. And one of my experiences was with a guy that was really impatient, and I had cooked this great prime rib, slow cooked this baby. It was a nice expensive cut, had it all done, slow cooked it, and that guy was my dad, who was very impatient, probably more so than I when it comes to tasting food. And I had it out, and he wanted to cut into it, try a piece of it off the end. I said, no, you gotta let it rest, you gotta let it rest. Oh, I got out of my way. I said, no, you gotta let it rest. And as soon as I turn my back, there he is slicing into my prime rib, or his prime rib. And I just knew it was gonna be a fail. And yeah, that slice was really good for him. Then we go to sit down for dinner, and all the color is out of our nice prime rib. We go to eat that thing, it was like eating sawdust. And everybody blamed me. For years, I bore that. It was you screwed up the prime rib. I didn't screw up the prime rib. My dad did. He cut it too early. Anyways, let your meat rest. All right, so we talked about making sure you were basting your turkey. I did it in the last hour a couple of times when it was uncovered. And so, I mean, you're going to see, it's beautiful. Nicely brown. Now, we're going to go on to our gravy that we were talking about. I got some really nice juice. You can see here, I only put like a half a cup of water in, so we've got a lot of nice juices in here. So, what we're going to do is we're going to remove our vegetables and our giblets and start our gravy process here. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one onion. I don't need to, and I'm going to probably cut this up a little bit so it'll puree a little bit faster. And I actually touched one of these just with the tip of my finger, and oh my God, it was so sweet. So we're going to put our onion in here. We're going to put our giblets in here. And I'm only going to take half of the piece of liver. Oh, good, it just fell right apart. Nice. And I'm going to take some of my veggies, get all my veggies in here. I'm cutting all this stuff into smaller pieces so it purees faster. Save this other onion for something I'm going to make later, which you'll see in another episode. Alrighty, that's just about it. I'm going to leave the rest of these. Oh, there's another piece of the heart. Oh, that's just falling apart. I'm going to keep all the rest of these num-nums in here that we will use for our gravy. Now, notice I didn't take any of this hot liquid and put it in this blending container. And if you've blended hot liquids before, you know that they tend to kind of blow up when you take the cover off. So I'm going to put some cool water in here. Just enough so this will blend nicely. I'm going to put this on here. Nice and tight. Nice liquid in here. And I'm going to pulse this down so we get a nice puree. Now I'm going to really pulse this up really fine, because what I'm trying to do here is create a gravy that I don't have to add any thickener to whatsoever. That's right, you heard me right, no thickener. I'm going to try going totally without flour or slurry or roux with this. That should just about do it. So I should have a nice paste here that all I have to do is add my nice liquid from the turkey to make my gravy. And that I do. It's just like peanut butter in here. So this is going to make a really nice base for my gravy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to strain off some of this liquid, prep my pan for the stove top so we can bring this all together, heat it up, and make our awesome gravy. So I have my wire ladle here that I'm going to use kind of as a strainer, and what I'm going to do is just use it to get some of the bigger pieces out. So I'm just going to pour a little bit of the liquid in here, not much, and I'm actually going to save all the rest of the liquid as well. And I'll use that for something else. That's probably good enough. What I'm going to do now is grab one of my whisks. I'm going to whisk this together. Nice consistency. Probably go a little bit more on my liquid. That's a little thick, but we can thin it down, no big deal, as we put it on the stove and heat it up. So what we're going to do now is bring this over the stove. We'll get this heated up, and if we need to add more liquid, we'll do it then. So what I am going to do, if you don't have a fat skimmer, you can use one of these nice fat sponges, otherwise known as bread. So all I do is I put the bread in on top of my liquid, let that soak up the fat, and I'll discard that, or I'll give it to the dogs as a treat. I bet you guys like it, huh? Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. They're all nodding their heads, yeah. Give us the fat sponge. We want the fat sponge. There we go. Nice. Alrighty. So the dogs make out too. So I'm going to let this heat up a little bit. And when it starts to bubble, then I'm going to thin it down a little bit more. But as you can see, I've got a really nice gravy going here. And as you saw, I didn't add any flour to this. I just used the giblets and the vegetables, the roasted vegetables, as my thickener. Okay, as you can see, we got some bubbles now. And so this is heating up nicely. Got some steam coming off the top. I'm going to go ahead and add my remaining liquid that I think I'm going to need to thin this down enough. I'm going to thin it down enough so it just coats the back of the spoon. That's looking really good. I might go a tad thinner. What do you think, Lori? Where am I at? Am I at a good place right now?
I think so.
Come on, boss. Talk to me. Get bossy. Talk to me. Oh, wow. Stick your face in there. Smell that. Oh my God. Oh. This smells so good. I've got to taste this actually, because I don't know if I'm going to have to add any salt and pepper, but just by the smell of it, I'm thinking not. I think I'm going a little bit thinner too. There we go. I think we're right about there. Alright. I don't want to boil this because we're not cooking down, releasing any starches. Alright, so let's go in for a taste. Look at that. Definitely coating the back of my spoon. So that is perfect consistency. Now for the taste. Winner, winner, turkey dinner. Doesn't need a thing. Actually, it doesn't need it, but because y'all know I like pepper, I do want a little more pepper in it. Just because you can. Not too much, but that's darn good. And as you can see, I didn't add any thickener whatsoever. So hey, gluten-free. All you gluten-free people out there, there you go. Gluten-free turkey gravy. So here you go. Here's the turkey. She's looking luscious, Mimi. And so let's cut into this. What I'm going to do now is going to release this wing, so it's out of my way. Wow, look at that. It's going to be good, I can tell. So I've never done any reversed carving before, so let me just kind of go right here. Get a nice slice out of here. Wow. Not looking too shabby. Wow, you can see the moisture in there. That is some nice tender turkey. My knife is going through it just like butter. So, first I'm going to try a piece without any gravy. Just a little piece here. Well, I'm just barely touching that, and it's just super moist. Let's see if I can do this on camera. But the moisture in this turkey is crazy. I mean, look at my fingers. That is that moist. It is so good. I don't like white meat. That. Excuse me a moment. That's off the hook. Now I'm going to kick it up a notch and put a little bit of my gravy on it. I'll tell you what, I don't know what kind of sound I'm going to make. It's going to be weird. And I'm going to just go in with my fingers for that. That's crazy. And you saw how easy it was. It's just a simple seasoning, salt, pepper, sage, poultry seasoning, herbs de Provence, some vegetables, giblets on the bottom, and that's it. It's that easy. So this episode, shout out is to all you Navy cooks out there getting ready to do your big show, your big day. I know that you're already thinking, the wheels are turning, and the planning's already in process, and you're getting ready for the big game, the big day. So hats off to you. This shout outs to all of you out there, and good luck on your Thanksgiving preparations. And I can't wait to see all the pictures from the fleet. Last year was awesome to see all the pictures of your spreads that you were sharing on Facebook. And I promise I will get in touch with you all and try to get as much posted on my site as much as I possibly can, and give you another shout out. So hey, if you enjoyed this episode, please crush the like button, subscribe, and most importantly share. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next time.